We back. I'm Debbie.
Debbie's boyfriend, better known as. I don't even know.
I don't.
Really.
It's fine.
I tried to go somewhere. Didn't.
So we've been gone for a minute.
And the
For
world
some
has
damn
been
time.
on fire.
Everything's on fire.
Still burning. Currently. Right now.
It is still burning.
Eh?
Yeah.
So, we were gone partly due to not wanting to be a distraction for the movement that's going on.
Yeah.
Support black businesses, justice for Breonna Taylor, justice for George Floyd, and all the other victims from police brutality on a serious note.
Yep.
Shit is corny, shit is trash, and, it get to a certain point where it's just like, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah.
And it's just disheartening from the movements, as I'm going on and start to see all of the social media stuff. It is trash, the process that black women get, because it's just like, even though we shouldn't have to do it for anybody, Breonna Taylor killers is just chilling. At least they did something for George Floyd's killers, and now you gotta see. I think it's like done purposely to create division amongst ourselves, kind of thing. Like you get justice, you get semi-justice for one, you don't get nothing for the other. So it's like,
Yep.
at this point, it seemed like on purpose. But
And I mean, I think it's just like across the board, right? Like it's not just that. I feel like we see it also in the healthcare system. We see how they treat black women. We see it, everywhere. So it's something's got to change. And hopefully everybody's out there, like we said, supporting black businesses, signing all the petitions, donating money, do everything that you can to
Facts.
keep up the movement. It's not a moment, it's a movement. So hopefully y'all are doing good given the circumstance, because it's been pretty shitty.
And if you are in the presence of black women, do your best to protect them.
Yeah.
Definitely trying to reevaluate things I do and trying to implement them in everyday life. Don't want to publicly speak about things. I want to start implementing action, and that's what it is. So if you have family members, partners, friends, do your best to try to protect them. And also with the current street violence that's going on, let's stop killing each other. It's been a month of a lot of kids dying and crazy stories like people shooting a father while he's walking his daughter. It's just 2020, not
Fucking
it.
ass.
And it won't end. Like, how many months do it got left in this motherfucker? Because, come on, dog.
Yep.
So,
That's pretty much what the theme of this whole year has been. It's just shitty all around. But yeah, anything else you want to say about how you feel about what was going on? Most of these things, we saw them. Some of them are less than a month ago or were a month ago, but a lot of the stuff when it was hitting heavy, it was like beginning of June, I guess, end of May, and we're in Atlanta, so a lot of it was pretty heavy over here. I think I'll go back to you, sorry, because
do your thing. Go ahead.
one of the ones that like hit me the hardest, and all of them just hurt. It just hurts to see all this stuff, and it's traumatic, and I'm still very adamant about, I don't think that black people should have to traumatize themselves and watching all of these things happen, even when you say like you become numb to it. I don't think that that's a good thing, and it just sucks that it takes something to go viral for it to get the momentum it needs. It just sucks that that's what society is. But back to what I was trying to say is one of the ones that hit me the hardest, like the most recent, was the Rayshard Brooks case. That one was really tough. I mean, we're in Atlanta, so it just it was a lot to process all at once. And you know, I feel like I hate that some people feel that like the momentum has like, you know, slowed down or whatever the case may be. But low key, I feel like if your feed is back to normal, you're not following the right people, because it really is not normal. And I'm like happy to see, you know, the people. I did like a whole overhaul. Like if y'all was not with us, and y'all can go block, delete. I did that whole thing, and I, you know, started like doing research and following the people who we need to hear from, and we need to, you know, that we're sharing resources that we all need to be aware of. So that's kind of what's kept me up, is like following those people, and or those types of accounts, and donating, signing everything that I can. It's been tough to see that shit every single day. And yeah, sorry. So for you, I meant to ask you how.
You good. I mean, it's just, so like I grew up in Brooklyn, went to school in upstate New York, and I currently now live in Atlanta. So I come across all different types of people. So it isn't a thing where I feel like I'm in a position to necessarily kind of just block people. For the simple fact that I just feel like sometimes you gotta kind of get an understanding of where people kind of get in their ideologies and thoughts from. So like I had conversations with different people, and it's like I don't immediately get angry or turned off. It's like I have to see where you coming from, so I'll give them an initial comment to see how their point of view is coming across. I, for some reason, can't get the idea of racism in general. Like, I don't understand if the world is currently built around you, and America has always been built around y'all, how y'all could be racist towards any other people. Because if I'm winning, I don't care nothing about what you're doing, and y'all have a culture and decades of winning. So I just don't understand the ideology behind it. So that's why I like to not necessarily go out the window, just observe. But in general, you know, it's hard because it's like when does the progress come? You have to generally make the right decision for so many things. And you know, we want to live in a world where it's like, I want to live my life, but at the same token, it's like decisions you make can alter you living your life. You know, you driving, you feel like the speed limit, you could be going the speed limit, it don't really matter. You driving while black, you feel me? We do anything. Like, look at some of the cases, homie, like the Rayshard Brooks case. Homie know he drunk, let me walk home. Nah, he don't get to go home to his daughters, and all of the stuff that's going on. It's like we making the right decisions and still die. So Lord knows what happens when you make the wrong decisions. So it's just it's kind of crazy. And then, you know, Nick Cannon says what he says, not saying what he said is right or wrong, but he gets fired before the killers of Breonna Taylor. So we holding him accountable for what he's saying on his platform, but we not holding police officers accountable for them taking a life in the line of doing their job. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Nothing makes sense anymore.
Nothing makes sense.
Therapy has helped a lot. You know, one of the reasons, like, I can personally, like, talk on the camera right now after all these days is because of that. Like, I've gotten it out a lot of days, and a lot of days it's just really shitty, and you feel horrible, but I am a big advocate for therapy, and I feel like mental health is really important right now, and y'all need to take care of each other and yourselves. Like, yeah, that's me.
So how do you feel about all of this, being that, well, we are an interracial couple? Like, how do you feel navigating that?
Um, so it's funny that you said that, like earlier, you are like the person who kind of analyzes things, and you're like, you give people the benefit of the doubt. Like you said, when you hear somebody, like you're trying to engage in a conversation with somebody, you try to see their point first before you're like, oh, all right, so you're just being ignorant, I'm gonna just ignore it. So I'm totally not like that. Like, you say one thing, you repost something, I'm bye. Like, I don't care anymore. And I think my mindset with that is like knowing that we are, like that my kids will be black kids and, you know, half of my family is black. I take it very personal, and it's it's just hard to process because I feel like, I don't know. I just think about like the future, like I've had a lot of anxiety around you leaving the house, just in general, like on an everyday basis. When everything was heightened, it was worse. It was like you said, you could be doing the right thing and still something will happen to you. So like part of the reason why I mentioned the Rayshard Brooks case was, like this man fell asleep in his car, and like that could have been you that week. Like you have fallen asleep in the car before. So it's things that like it just paints a bigger picture for me, that's why I can't accept ignorance or any type of anything that like gives off some type of hatred towards anybody really. But I take it personally because to me it's like, you don't care about the future of my partner, you don't care about the future of my future kid. Like, there's no way. Like, I don't care what you say. It just, that's how I take it, and it's a lot to process. And like I said, I'm talking it through in therapy and trying not to be so fucking angry because I'll be ready to fight. But yeah, how do you?
I mean, for me, I just think that you do a good job of. So a lot of, I'm not really like fully knowledgeable on dynamics of interracial couples, but I know one thing that would technically, trigger me as a black man in an interracial relationship is sometimes people like feeling like something is happening to them technically. So I feel like you do a good job of being aware of stuff and carrying it, but knowing that it's technically not this. It's technically wouldn't be the same if you were in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for some of the issues that happens in the Latino community, I don't necessarily act like I know. So I feel like we do a good job of kind of being like, stuff comes up, we give each other facts of the situation, and then we just empathetic of that, but it's not necessarily putting myself in your pain or yourself in my pain,
right.
Because it's like two separate paths. And I think that's a lot of the times people don't necessarily in a racial relationships don't know how to navigate. You will never technically know how this portion of life is gonna go, so don't act like you know every nook and cranny of what's gonna go on, because you just don't know about it, kind of thing. So I think that's kind of why we work well, is because I don't necessarily put we don't do it to each other. Like, we don't necessarily act like we feel each other's pain, because
Right.
we don't at all. So it's just being knowledgeable, learning how you can help, and basically, like, right now we in a petition world, and a lot of people just think those don't do anything, but it's a form of something that starts the process of something. So if anything is to happen, it's like the first step. So like, I'm learning that we need to stop criticizing modes of how we progressively move forward, because everything is needed.
Right.
The protest is needed. The rioting is needed. All of the necessary steps is needed to move forward, because when we try one thing, specifically one thing, it doesn't work. Protests with the riots, even though it led to more chaos, it like opened people's eyes, kind of thing. But it's like once we do these two modes, we need to start figuring out the next step after those, because those are always the beginning portions of any movement.
Right.
But it's like, to keep it going forward, we gotta find the necessary steps after we do those. But that's not to put a to put one over the other. I feel like it's all needed.
Yeah. There's a video, and I'll probably link it in the description. There's a video that like has like stuck with me through this whole thing. I forget her name. I know her name is Kimberly. I forget her last name, but I'll link it. The video when she does the analogy of the Monopoly game. That whole video, which is like a 6-minute video, is super important to watch, because and I recommend it for anybody, like anybody, especially like my own community. I feel like it's important to see that point of view, because empathy is so important. And I feel like that video, like, there's no way, like, after seeing that video, there's no way you can't understand what's going on in this world. Like, if you ever...
I mean, there's still a way.
I know, but I feel like at that point, then you're just being ignorant to the issues that are, like, brought to you. Like, so I'm gonna... Because that's a really important video, and that's what I thought about when you just said that. Like, where you need, like, these elements. Now we're at the point where we need action plans. We need, we need to know what we can do next. And... hopefully, create the change that needs to happen, and it starts from like the root of all of these systems of oppression. Because, this shit is just hard.
Yeah, and we in the year 2020, and
which was
over the time of me being alive, there's been different variations of this. Still apparent. Still doesn't matter where you go. Minnesota, Atlanta, they still protesting in Portland right now. New York, Kentucky, everywhere, dog. So it is trash, but
it is. But please take care of yourselves. Most importantly, take care of everyone around you, and fight this fight.